Hello, my name is William Brennan, and today I'm going to be covering the different generations of General Motors history. By the end of this presentation, you should have a better understanding of how the automotive industry has changed over the last century. The first area I will cover is the creation, from 1897 to 1909. General Motors was founded by William Durant on September 16, 1908. Durant had become a leading manufacturer of horse-drawn vehicles in Flint, Michigan, before making his foray in the automotive industry. At its inception, GM held only the Buick Motor Company, but in only a matter of years would acquire more than 20 companies, including Oldsmobile, Cadillac, and Oakland, today known as Pontiac. Now we'll move forward towards its acceleration into the next era, which we'll cover from 1910 to 1929. As demand for automobiles grew into unexpected heights in the 1920s, GM set the pace for production, design, and marketing innovation. While the philosophy and strategy of a car for every purse and purpose, a series of landmark innovations that changed the automobile itself, GM's vehicles went beyond transportation, becoming statements and aspirations. Now, we have seen how the company grew to new heights. We will now take a look at how GM strived on the emotion of a nation. This period, known as emotion, will cover from 1930 to 1959. GM, during the war, supplied the Allies with more goods than any other company. In 1940, former GM President William Knudsen was chosen by President Roosevelt as chairman of the new wartime Office of Production Management. By 1942, 100% of GM's production was in support of the Allied war effort. GM delivered more than $12 billion worth of materials, including airplanes, tanks, and trucks. We have seen how the support of one company fueled our nation during tough times. We'll take a look now at the time of revolution, a period covering from 1960 to 1979. In 1971, GM pioneered the use of engines that could run on low lead or unleaded gasoline. 2 years later, GM was the first to offer an airbag in a production car. In 1974, GM introduced the most important step in reducing emissions with the Cadillac converter. This technology, shared by General Motors, is still used by the entire automotive industry today. Since we have found that GM started a revolution, I'll take you to the era of globalization from 1980 to 1999. Although General Motors was always active internationally, the urgency of operating as a single global unit came with the shrinking of the world itself in the 1980s and 90s. With communication barriers crumbling and new markets opening, companies that didn't keep up were left behind. The GM would reinvent itself as an integrated global team and intensified its focus on innovation and growth. With the additions of Saab and Hummer to the family, the company strengthened both the reach and variety of vehicles sold worldwide. Next, I will talk a little bit about innovation, covering from 2000 to present. With the transition into the digital age and a growing concern about the environment, it became prevalent at the turn of the 21st century. As we all became more tech savvy, we also voiced concern about the sources of our energy and the state of our planet. Today, GM is at the vanguard in its quest for alternative propulsion systems and vehicles intended to remove the automobile from the energy and environmental equations. Lastly, we'll move into the transformation, with E-Flex and fuel cells being the future of the propulsion systems. Unveiled a few years ago, GM's E-Flex system enabled multi-propulsion systems to be installed in a common electrically driven chassis. Long term, General Motors was focused on the eventual commercialization of the hydrogen fuel cell vehicle. So, in conclusion, we have focused on the way automobiles have evolved since the early 1900s and how we will experience the roads of the future. I will show you a few pictures of different automobiles throughout the decades, some of the more common ones. In the creation, as we covered from 1897 to 1909, you see an old Model T vehicle. In the acceleration phase from 1910 to 1929, as you see here, we have a 1912 Cadillac. In motion from 1930 to 1959, we see a 1930 Cadillac V16, 1956 Cadillac Eldorado, and 1949 Buick Roadmaster. Now here, during the revolutionary stage, during 1960 to 1979, we have a 1964 Pontiac GTO and a 1979 Chevy Impala. During the globalization period from 1980 to 1999, we started to see a trend more with sports cars. As you see here, we have the 1984 Chevy Corvette and a 1999 Saab 9 TAC 5. Through the innovation, 2000 to present, we see the more aerodynamic Cadillac and a 2000 GMC Sierra Hybrid, which hybrids are very common nowadays. And lastly, in the transformation phase, we talked about the Opel Flex Extreme concept, the Chevy Volt, and some aerodynamic looking vehicles almost with no electronics inside, which looks to be the future of our vehicles. And that will conclude my presentation today. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.